Metro Louisville is made up of 26 districts. This podcast gives you a chance to connect with your council member and learn about what's going down in your district.
Welcome to another episode of the District Download, and thanks for tuning in. I'm Kyle Etheridge, and today we'll be talking with a very special guest that works hard to serve and protect our community. But before we dive in, I'd like to welcome today's host. She was first elected in 2018, then re-elected in 2022, and represents Council District 7. She also serves as the chair of the Majority Caucus and President Pro Tem, Councilwoman Paula McCraney. Welcome, and thank you for hosting today's episode.
Thank you, Kyle. This is my favorite time of the month when I get an opportunity to sit in front of one of our esteemed guests and talk about what they want to talk about and let the community hear from other people that we interact with on a daily basis through Metro Council. So I am so delighted to be here, and my guest is no stranger right now to people. I mean, we see her everywhere, and we know that, as Kyle said in her introduction, she is working very, very hard to protect and serve. So no other than our Chief of Police, Chief Villaroel. So we're in for a good treat. Sit back, relax, tune in, and just enjoy the show.
Excellent, excellent. And so before we dive in, just want to know, Councilwoman, if you can share a little bit about your district and why you love serving your community.
Yes, I represent District 7, and it encompasses 20 small suburban cities in eastern Jefferson County, and my borders are between Brownsboro Road and Shelbyville Road, and from the other end of the spectrum, Goose Creek to Hubbard's Lane, everything in between. So that covers parts of St. Matthews, Linden, Crossgate, and Plantation and Windy Hills, you know, some of those suburban cities. And I'm telling you, it is such a delight to be in this position. It's an honor to serve, and it's daunting from time to time in that you want everybody to be happy and you want everybody to get their issues addressed immediately. And sometimes government doesn't quite work like that. And so that's the part of it that I wish I could control, but I can't. So what I love to do is make sure that everybody understands how government works. And that's the beauty of it. You get to help people understand more of their government and how they can get involved. And I just absolutely adore my constituents. I really do.
We can tell you're such a hardworking council representative, so we're so glad to have you on council.
Thank you, Kyle.
So now we'll formally introduce today's special guest, and who also enjoys serving her community. She began her career in law enforcement in 1997, and she served as a patrol officer, a field investigation officer, and worked in the following units as a detective: vice, narcotics, gangs and guns, and domestic violence. Please join me in welcoming Chief Gwinn-Villaroel with the Louisville Metro Police Department.
Thank you so much, Kyle. Thank you so much for having me. And my goodness, Councilwoman McCraney, thank you so much. I'm so honored to sit across the table from you today.
Oh, it is all my honor. So I want you to sit back too and relax and just enjoy the conversation. It's going to be enlightening to some, and it's going to be no surprise to others, because if they have been watching you since you have gotten to Louisville, Kentucky, they know your dedication. They can see it. Not only can they see it in your actions, but they can hear it in your voice. And that's what I like about watching you do your job. And as you can only imagine, you are being watched. I mean, when you have the role of Chief of Police, that carries a heavy burden, I'm sure. So talk to us a little bit about your background and what led you to the police force. And then what do you think catapulted you to such a time as this?
Wow, those are great questions. So I've been doing this now for 26 years. And so I've been fortunate and blessed to be in this particular role. And certain individuals only imagine to be in this seat. They only dream of being in this seat. But I've been fortunate to have actually made it to the seat. And for that, I'm just eternally grateful. And so what has just truly drawn me to law enforcement, and with all honesty, I've wanted to do this since I was 5 years of age. I knew that I wanted to be a police officer. I knew that I wanted to serve my community in that capacity. I grew up like anything else and in a very religious home background. My father was a pastor, and mother was very strict on us growing up. And I think when I told them, they were in shock, but they embraced it because their little girl wants to actually go into law enforcement. And you know, that could be difficult being a woman, and also to a woman of color, to go in such a male-dominant arena. But I just knew then it was my calling. And so with that, I know that my faith is keeping me in this particular role, that I'm able to serve, because I see myself, and I coin myself as a servant leader. And so with that, it brings about a gift of knowledge in order to look and see, well, how can I meet the needs of the people, and set aside Jackie, set me aside for a moment to actually help that individual. And then with ministry and wrapped all up in there in the same bucket with me, I'm here today. And so that's what you see, because I guess at the end of the day, I love people.
Yeah,
I love people.
It is a people business, isn't it? And you said something very unique and fascinating, that you knew at the age of 5 that you wanted to be in law enforcement. But the beauty of that is we see little kids who want to be police officers, who want to serve. They don't understand the servant leadership part quite yet, but what they see is the police officer, and they see the outfit. They see a firefighter. They see the uniform. And so to them, that is something to model, something that they aspire to. So tell me, how do you think today's children are looking at police officers, and do you think that they're still enamored by the outfit and the knowledge of what a police officer does, and they want to be police officers?
I can sit here today and say yes. I can, because we have to put in the work as well to make ourselves available and accessible to those children. Yes. We have to be open for them to see us as the human in the uniform. And once we do that, then you can spark that interest for them to actually want to go into law enforcement. Yesterday at PAL, we were actually at the culinary, we were doing culinary arts for the PAL Activities League. Wow. And Humana is sponsoring that. I took off this uniform, and I was in plain clothes, but I was with those children. They knew I was a chief, but at that time, I'm looking at who they are as children. So even in that role, I inspired somebody within that group to possibly take the journey in being in law enforcement. And they were cooking, they were enjoying themselves, and I was giving them kudos. I was talking about, make sure the chicken is fried extra crispy, and we're laughing, and they saw this other side of Chief. Yes. That's how we reach our children. That is how we actually say, you can be in law enforcement yet and still smile, yet and still engage the community and have a simple conversation over chicken fingers and baked potatoes. That right there, I probably got somebody.
I bet you did, because really, I mean, we talk about children, but adults need to understand you're human.
Correct.
You laugh, you smile, you do what everybody else is doing, and they need to see you not only as that authoritative person, but that warm, kind human being. Yes. And that's what I do know that I have seen in you. And I think that might be the case because you said it in your intro that your father was in the ministry. Oh, yes. And so tell us a little bit about your journey into ministry, a little bit about that, because I think I read somewhere that you are ordained.
That is correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So my journey into ministry is really based upon the knowledge and my mind being expanded to who God is and who God is for Jackie. And so my parents allowed me to actually grow within my faith and in the ministry. So my father was in ministry for over 60 years, and he served. And in fact, my father was the first African-American Mennonite pastor in the southeast part of Georgia. And so he was a minister over an all-white congregation. So that is a part of my background. And so, again, I had this diversity of culture and upbringing, but yet and still, if you would, I was raised in the hood. And so, again, you have layers within me. But then in the ministry, it opened my eyes as to how I'm able to serve parishioners, how I'm able to serve congregants, how I'm able to serve the ones that are in need. Therefore, it rolls over into my calling into law enforcement. And with my desire and with me seeing with my father, how he catered to individuals, and I got that spark, and my God spoke to me and said, this is the path that I would like for you to go. And so I followed in his footsteps. And here I sit today in front of you today as an ordained minister and a pastor. And for that, I'm just truly, truly grateful, because now even my department in the community, I can see through the eyes, the lens through law enforcement, but I can also too see through the lens of faith and spirituality. And so with that, it has gifted me, and I'll say gifted me in order to navigate certain waters that others cannot. Right. And so with that, I'm just pleased that I'm in this role in order to help the citizens of Louisville to move forward.
Well, certainly being in the ministry, you have many transferable skills into any organization and any career, but certainly into law enforcement, because you have to have the heart for the people, like you say. So let's talk a little bit about your transition here to Louisville, Kentucky. How long have you been here now?
So I came in February 2021.
Okay.
And so I've been here for 2 years and 6 months, some change. So I've been here. So I'm excited. I'm still here. I want to stay here and continue to do the work.
Well,
yes.
what have been some of your surprises about Louisville, or some of your challenges that you may have had from Louisville, and tell us some of the fantastic fun parts of Louisville that you enjoy.
Great. So coming from Atlanta is a little bit more fast-paced. It's a little bit more fast-paced. So coming to Louisville is a little bit slower, just, again, family-oriented, just really taking the moment to embrace. Mm-hmm. And so that right there is just really is really a breath of fresh air, right? And so we're able to slow down a little bit and just actually enjoy one another. And so that is what really is rooted me here, is because I like that family atmosphere and everybody knows everybody. Where
they went to high school.
High school, not college. High school.
Absolutely.
I have learned it, and I'm writing down these high school names all the time to make sure I don't mess up anything and I don't offend anybody. I know it's sensitive here. So again, that right there is just it thrills me to know that is a part of Louisville. And one of the most fascinating things is I am now a part of one of the world's biggest sporting events in 2 minutes. Is the Derby.
Absolutely.
I am a part of that. How crazy is that? So with that, I embrace that, and I was like, okay, if I'm ever able to own a horse, I've already named a horse, and the horse is going to be named Sloppy Joe, and I want people, and I want to be a part of it. But that right there, to have that energy and to know that everybody gets dressed up in the hats, and it's the energy around it, but also to the rich culture of our minority communities, actually, embracing and wanting to do more in that family atmosphere. It's good here in the home of Muhammad Ali. Right. Yeah. And the civil rights movement happened here too. Yes.
It's rich.
It's rich.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know that.
They don't know that.
And we have the best kept secret, and we have got to get the message out.
We do.
There's a lot to do in Louisville. It's a fantastic city.
It is.
And I'm glad you're enjoying it. Are you settled in?
I am. I am settled in. I'm settled in, and I'm working, and every day, what can I do for this city?
Right.
What can I do for my city?
That's city. That's it. My city.
My city.
You're claiming it. So with that, tell us some of your goals and some of the accomplishments that you have been able to make since you've been here.
And so I'm super excited. So my top 4 priorities, and this is not do a public safety forum right here, but and people need to hear this. My top 4 priorities, again, is this violent crime, addressing violent crime, because at the end of the day, we have so much to do here, such a rich history, but we should not let that be drowned out by violence.
Right.
Period.
That's the noise.
That is the noise. I have to address it, and I will address it, and we are addressing it. And the second is to build this community trust. We as law enforcement, we must do our job to do and to build that up as well, and to foster those relationships as well as the community, allowing us now to come in and see the change and a difference. Yes. That right there, we can build those healthy relationships. And then recruitment and retention. we talk a lot about recruiting. I need those great officers that want to join this police agency and really see the changes going on, but I can't forget the ones that are still staying.
Right.
Retention. And I've had that meeting today with some of my commanders. Please stress out there, I want to address retention as well. I don't want to lose those 5-year to 7-year officers because that's that sweet spot. They've gotten settled in law enforcement. But that's the part that the community don't know. And sometimes we'll lose those 5 to 7-year officers. But right now we've trained them. They got a niche. They understand what they're doing, and then they'll leave and go somewhere else. That is an investment we cannot afford to lose. But also, too, how can we embrace technology here in Louisville on a different level? Law enforcement, the community is being educated, and I heard what you said in your intro. How can we do better to inform them about government? But it's come with education. That's right. I have to educate the community as to what we're doing so they be able to embrace what we're doing.
That's it. Exactly right. And I like your 4 pillars. You touched on especially 2 that I wanted to talk about tonight. Retention.
Yes.
Do you know your retention rate right now?
Yeah, so it's slowed down tremendously. From people leaving. But right now we're still at this level of 295 that we're actually vacant right now. Okay. And our retention is sometimes we're at 5 to 7 that we lose within a month, but it's slowing down tremendously. And I will submit to you, since all the changes that have taken place, we are seeing that slow down because now people are saying they may retire, but that resignation has really tapered off for us.
Okay. And generally that retention is difficult to bear because we have some suburban cities that may pay higher rate.
There you go.
And there are smaller law enforcement agencies. So, maybe they don't have as many problems as a bigger city. So do you think those 2 things are the major roadblocks for Louisville Metro Police?
No, yes, the pay has to be better, and we'll get there with your support and other fellow council members, and you've already committed to that. And I just want to publicly thank you again. I've done that privately, I've done that in other forums, but thank you. I want to take every opportunity to personally thank you because my officers need to hear that as well. And it needs to hear it from the top seat because, again, if you want to affect change and personality shifting, then they need to hear me address certain things, right? And so thank you. Yes. But with that, pay has to be better, but also to our messaging as to how we supporting our officers makes the difference. If I want to retain, I must have our community as well as myself and others within Metro government to say, I support you. I want good policing.
Right.
That's what matters. Good, constitutionally fair, equitable policing. Cover that. I want you. People will tend to stay. But what we have to do, and what we're doing a better job, is in our marketing, within LMPD. We have to market better. We have to actually advertise and show what LMPD has to offer because the other smaller agencies, and I'm so thankful for them because, again, they help me when I need them, yes. And we are helping them. But also, too, we have more growth here within our agency because we're a bigger agency.
Right.
So sometimes the smaller agencies, you will go over there as an officer and you're going to stay there until you possibly retire because the growth is not there. But we have to do a better job in advertising what we do offer. And one of the things I want to make sure that we are advertising that we have strong leadership. We need to put that actually in our recruitment. That's what you'll see, strong, stable leadership.
Well, I think leadership is the key. If people cannot feel that the leadership trusts them yes. or care about them, they tend to not only want to go away, but then they'll start rumbling within themselves and then amongst the other coworkers, and it just makes for a bad environment. So leadership is
conversation.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you for that, and I'm glad that you understand that is so vital. So in that respect, talk a little bit about the structure of LMPD. You have your command staff. Yes. So tell us the layers of the LMPD.
Okay. Yes, that's an excellent question because, again, that's one of those things, too, we got to educate the community because they don't know. So thank you for that question. So, again, you have my seat as the chief, and then underneath me, I have a deputy chief, and then there's another deputy chief that's over the Accountability Improvement Bureau, and then I will have a deputy chief that is the deputy chief over patrol and our special ops. So you have two deputy chiefs.
Okay.
But then underneath that layer, then you have what you call our lieutenant colonels / assistant chiefs. So you have one assistant chief that's over patrol. You have another one that's over admin that deals with that. You have another one that deals actually with support, and you have another one that's actually going to be underneath the AIB. So you have those four layers. And then underneath them, you have your division majors, our 8 divisions, and then you have majors in other areas within the department. Accountability and wellness. You have one in the actual admin bureau, and then you have a night commander that we actually reinstitutionalized. So you will have some senior leadership even at night, and that was done over a year ago, which is critical and was lacking.
Yes.
We reinstitutionalized that. It is back. So that's how the layers go. And then underneath the major is our lieutenants, then sergeants, then our detectives, and then our officers. So that is the structure.
That is so important to know. And you know, I kind of forgot about that second tier under you. I totally forgot that myself.
Yeah.
That is so crucial because everybody wants to say, I want to speak to the chief. I want the chief. And you can't do it all by yourself. But you have such a command staff that they truly understand their job description. And I see how they operate and they care about the units that are under them.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about the new recruiting class. And will you have another one coming up here in the near future?
I am so happy to say 31 recruits.
That is amazing.
That is amazing.
That is really good.
31 recruits. And so that is one of our largest classes that we've had since a while, So I'm so super excited, but that shows you that, there's still an interest there, but also let me stress to the community, we're not taking everybody.
Okay, tell us a little bit about that statement right there.
Right.
If people are interested, what are the qualifications? What do they need to do to understand if they are the right fit?
Yes. First of all, do you really have the passion and the drive to serve? Are you able to serve? And that is one of the main components of it. Are you able to actually help people in time of need?
How do you measure that? How do you know if they have that gravitas?
You will have it in their actual speech, in their actual interview process. You'll see it in their life path. You'll see, do they volunteer or what are their job description? What are they doing now? Little things like that will come up, and you'll be able to gauge whether or not that is something that they truly value and that they're able to bring here to our agency. And with all of the other criteria, passing a background check, that includes your credit report, that includes, again, have you been arrested? What does that look like? Your employment. Again, are you stable in your current employment? Gotcha. If you're not stable in your current employment, newsflash, you may not be stable in this environment.
Right.
So, again, one of those, and then do we need to give you time to grow? Yeah, we can give you time to grow. And so then when you're right, then let's come on over. And so that's one of those things, too, that we're shifting that, and we're just making sure that we're getting those great candidates. And one of the things, and I put it out there in public before, and one of the things that I do on every recruit class, I walk into that recruit class, and I greet them, and everybody's eager. I remember being in that seat myself. Everybody's on the edge of their seat because they don't know what is going to happen. What is my day going to look like? What is tomorrow going to look like? Am I going to show back up?
Right.
But they're so eager. But one of the things that I leave with them, and after I go through a whole bunch of other spiel, and I says, LMPD is in a position right now that we need you and we want you, but we're not desperate.
I like that.
And I says, if I have to go out and answer a call for service, I will tell radio, send me that way. I say that because when we begin to be desperate, that means we'll take anybody, accept anything, and turn a blind eye. But I also, too, I wait. And I pause, says that anybody in this position right now that you feel that this is not what you want to do, I will respect you, and you can get up and you can leave right now. And I wait.
Yeah, wait until you're ready. Wait until your mindset is of public service.
Right there. But they need to hear that.
That's good.
They need to hear that. And I said, and not in fear, like, oh my God, I don't want to say it because I'm afraid I'm going to lose anybody. I've already lost them.
That's true. If they're not ready,
they're not going
to make it.
I've already lost them.
Right.
And so again, I'm just putting it out there to let them know that we're an agency. We want some great, qualified people.
That is so good. And now we need qualified people because we have some things going on in this community.
Yes, we do.
And most people, we got some things going on.
You're right.
So in order to combat those things, let's talk a little bit about the DOJ report. Let's just dive right into that. What are your feelings about the fact that we're eventually going to be under a consent decree?
So with that, and I know that some officers, and I always say this today, and I know that some still got some heartburn, I look at it as an opportunity. I look at being under consent decree. No agency wants to go underneath the consent decree. But I will submit to you, any agency that's not doing a self-auditing of themselves within a 5-tier span, more than likely, you'll probably be under the consent decree as well. The community needs to hear that. Because, again, it's checks and balances. What are you doing? Are you just operating, or are you operating to make sure that you are successful and you are efficient and you are effective in what you're doing?
Yeah. In police force, I guess there's no time for complacency.
No.
You just cannot get relaxed.
You can't.
You have to always be on point with the community, what's changing in the world,
Yes.
and what's new in policing, what opportunities are out there. So how do you stay up to date on everything, the community, what's happening in the world, what's the latest, greatest equipment that you need?
The one thing that we have to do is be great listeners. So you have to listen, and you have to actually gain the pulse and to see what is happening, listening with an open mind, and be ready to embrace. Like older people will say, hey, I will chew the meat and then spit out the bones. Okay. So sometimes you just have to chew what you can and then spit out the rest because it doesn't fit you at that time. But also to being a great listener, but also to being a student and a reader as what is trending, what is going on. But being connected to those individuals and those agencies and who are movers and shakers. What is the BJA putting out? What is the DOJ saying? Right. And what is best practices? Because, again, we have to be students, too, to be enlightened and educated as to where we are going. And then embrace it and see how can we fit that into our model of policing here in Louisville. And that is the key. That's how you stay on top. And it's like, but you have to listen. What is happening? What is the community saying?
Right.
I can't turn a deaf ear and say I don't hear them.
Right. Well,
and then want to be effective.
Well, with that, do you believe in community policing?
I do.
So what is your goal for creating that atmosphere? Because it's not really here in Louisville the way I'm used to what community policing is about from my hometown. So tell us a little bit about how do you define community policing, and what does it look like, or what will it look like in LMPD in the near future?
Okay, great. So community policing has his own legs, and people have their own interpretation with it.
Right.
But what is community policing here for Louisville? When I was growing up in law enforcement in Atlanta, we had the housing projects. And again, community policing for me was I was in that housing projects all day long, 8 hours a day, just winding in and out of streets. I'm meeting the people every day because guess what? That was my beat. That was my concentration. That was my concern. The corner store, I knew that was my area that I must go over there and get out of the car and meet and greet and talk. So what is community policing here for Louisville? I think now in this new model of policing we got to go to the community more. We got to set up those community interactions and be more intentional about that. Right. And so when our officers are seeing you in the community, now they got a face to the name because now we've broken bread over here. We're doing something. We're actually doing, who is your beat officer? This is a meet and greet. Know your beat officer. I have to create those type of environments in order to have that community policing. But are we having our officers get out of the cars? Now we're intentional about that. Now we're scheduling, get out of your car, go walk around, go to the store. That's community policing. That is it. When you're on your beat, if you got a school in your beat, I need for you to go and check on the front desk.
I'm liking what I hear.
That's community policing.
Okay, that is so good because like you say, people define community policing in different ways. But what you're saying is it is as simple as knowing your community.
That is.
And getting out of the car and feeling the community.
That's it.
Get a feel for them and be present.
Be present. On Sunday mornings, if you're not in your church, why can't you go to someone else's church and stand in the back? I did it. But again, I have to make sure I'm educating my officers, in which I am. That's community policing. That's it.
Yeah, well, let's imagine this too, though.
Yes.
You mentioned church.
Yes.
If I look back and I see a policeman standing at the door, it might scare me. I might say, what's going on? Is something about to happen? So how would you tell them to position themselves or to act when they...
Yes, it's a posture. So you can't stand in the back of the door like you done took over the usher's job, right? We're not doing that. So you go inside of the church. You may want to stand on the far corner in a cat-a-corner way and just relax. Pick up a program. Pick up a hymnal. You're showing that I'm there, I'm present, I'm with you. I want you to be safe. Because at the end of the day, I want to make sure the pastor sees me. You may wave your hand and say, Pastor, I'm here. That's it. But also, so guess what? I may need to meet that pastor prior to Sunday morning.
Right.
So again,
I might stop in one Sunday. I'll nod at you. I don't want anything.
That's it.
Ain't nothing happening. Just want to be in your presence.
It's communication. So that's what I believe, and I feel that community policing here for Louisville is, because we're so close knit.
Yes.
We're personable. We're family. So we got to build upon that connectivity so that people can embrace. When they see the uniform, I'm not going to take off the uniform, but who am I behind that? That when I'm going into your space, you're okay. That's what community policing is.
What do you think about officers taking their cars home and parking them in their own driveways? Do you think that sends a signal that, hey, I have a policeman in my neighborhood? I like that. So do we offer that?
Yes.
To our
So we've done the take your car out of the county, and it's huge with our officers. It's well overdue. And it should have, because again, also too, is another layer to that, it is a safety layer for equipment. And so I want to make sure that my officers are keeping up with their equipment and making sure they're taking it out of their cars, right? Okay. But I don't want the cars all parked all over the place and then there's no accountability. But guess what? If I need to discipline someone who is lacking and not taking ownership and responsibly securing their equipment, I need to make sure I'm giving them every opportunity to make sure you get it right.
Okay.
So again, it's checks and balances. But the community likes that. It gives them another layer of safety to see that patrol car there.
Yes,
it does.
Indeed.
Driving down your street, coming home or in the mornings or in the evening, they really appreciate that because it just gives them a sigh of relief just to have that simple vehicle part there.
Yes. I like that. I like seeing a police car at the bank,
yes.
Or at the grocery store.
Yes.
I mean, because anywhere nowadays there could be an incident.
Yes.
And so the more you say community policing is about being present, the more we'll see officers in different locations, right?
Yes, yes.
I'm loving that. So tell me about the well-being of our officers, and what are you doing to implement procedures, policies, or techniques to take care of their mental health, their physical health? Yes. Tell us a little bit about your strategies there.
Yes. So LMPD now, we finally have a fully functional wellness center. So this is just a couple of components that we need to add to it. But I'm really, really pleased that now we have a wellness unit that is operational. And so we have our peer support team there. We have our counselor, one of our counselors there. We're going to be hiring for another counselor. But also, too, we are interviewing for a psychologist. LMPD has never had an on-staff psychologist. A disservice.
Now, that is amazing.
It is amazing. We've had to outsource.
Okay.
But we needed somebody on staff. I know the importance of having somebody on staff. And so when I came to Louisville, not having somebody on staff as a psychologist, it kind of threw me a little bit. Like, why we don't have somebody functioning here every day? That is a need. And so now we're moving towards that, fulfilling that gap, which is going to be huge for our officers. But what also too it entails, because we have to actually deal with this in our negotiation process, we will be creating a policy that we're going to be mandating and requiring our officers to have that wellness check.
That was going to be my question. Do you have to mandate it? Because what if nobody takes advantage of that?
Yes, you have to mandate it, and because it is just a checkup. Just say, are you okay? But guess what? That's from me on down.
Yes.
I'm
Indeed.
not exempt. It's from the chief on down, and so it's going to help not only them, but it's going to help their families.
Yes.
So,
Truth be told, we all need wellness checks.
absolutely.
You know, and sometimes it's good enough to just call your girlfriend or your cousin and say, you know, I'm not doing okay. But it's that admitting it
Yes.
and understanding that it would be comforting for a professional to just listen and you know just free yourself, tell it, and then hey, go on out and try another day.
Yes, that's it. And that's what you'll be seeing. So we'll create that policy that all parties can agree upon. But that'll be one of those that we're just going to require our officers to have that wellness check. And, of course, we have the physical portion of it. You know, we have the physical equipment that is readily available to officers already, and then to be centralized within also to the wellness center. So we're offering all opportunities for you to have a really well-rounded officer. Okay. You deserve that. You require that. We've heard that, and it's time. And we want to make sure that you receive that. And so I'm really excited about it. But also, too, we got a full-time chaplain, and she's wonderful.
I know her too, and she is just a kind-hearted person, and you know, I'm loving how you're implementing the things that we don't think about on a daily basis for our officers that they really, really need.
Matters.
So because there's a lot of crime, and that's just not in Louisville, but it's worldwide anymore. So tell us a little bit about your strategies for crime reduction. You know, it's a sad testimony that back in the day we used to fist fight, you know, or sick our cousin on somebody to fist fight. But now it seems like picking up a gun is the first answer. So we have a lot of crime and a lot of suicide too, and a lot of gun violence. So talk a little bit about your idea of reducing gun violence.
Yes. So it's going to be a multi-layer approach that I'm embracing. Our non-fatal shooting squad.
Yes.
I am super excited about that. And that is bringing all of these minds together collectively in one unit. They've been working those cases, but together. Again, getting away from that silo mentality that sometimes any organization unbeknownst to themselves kind of embrace. We're coming against that. And LMPD is doing a great job by dismantling that because we all need to work together cohesively in order to tackle this truly mountain of crime that we're facing right now. So having that unit come together with those brilliant detectives' minds and those sergeants and the lieutenant, you're going to see some really great results from that unit. Because handling and investigating properly a non-fatal shooting to actually identify those trigger pullers is going to prevent a homicide. Because those near misses, because they didn't pass away. And also, let me plug LMPD in this. We do some great patchwork out there on that scene as far as rendering aid.
Wow.
We are magnificent. And I have to give my guys kudos for that. We are putting chest seals. We are placing tourniquets. We are saving limbs. We are doing it all to get that person to that hospital.
Well, here again, we go back to what you said in the beginning, marketing. You got to get that information out there because that really could turn a whole person's mindset on policing and police officers when they know that they are doing those types of things. You know, it didn't even dawn on me that is what they're doing.
That's exactly
they're
what they're
out there saving lives by just being present and knowing what to do at that particular time.
My team, and they are my team, my LMPD officers, I view them as my team because we are a team. I can't do this by myself. There's no I, just no team. They're actually rendering aid, and they're not even thinking about their own safety as far as putting on gloves. These are the officers that you have, and they're in there to save a life to get that person transported. So with the non-fatal shooting squad being established and operating and working, they've already made 9 arrests already in 30 days. But we're stopping another individual from taking a life. That's what you're seeing. But also, too, working with our federal partners, closely continue to working with ATF, FBI, DEA. That component is really going to help us continue to drive this crime. But also, too, how can we better communicate with the community to actually get that support we need? Because like I said today, without that human touch and that element, some of these cases will not be solved. So I need the public's help.
Well, I really enjoy the fact that you have a wealth of knowledge when it comes to best practices and creative ways of policing. So tell us how you are going to combat the homicide investigations, because I was at a community forum and I think that there were some misinformation or at least some trepidation about supporting our police officers, because they say, we've had so many homicides, but you all are backed up, and we want to know what happened with the investigation. Where are you? Nobody's telling us about whether or not you found this person that killed my cousin. So tell us about your investigations on homicides, and are you doing something to help your officers get caught up?
Yes. So one of the things when we got here in 2021, we were thrown back that a lot of our evidence from those crime scenes were still at the state lab because they were short-staffed as well. So now we have, thanks to council approving and so forth, we were able to get funding to move that evidence and get it processed quicker by using an outsourced DNA lab. So now you're seeing the difference. That is why our clearance rates for homicides have gone up.
Gotcha.
That's why, because now we're getting the evidence to close those cases to identify who took your loved one's life. So all of that, but also too, the mayor has been very supportive because he's heard the community's concerns and mine as well, and that he is actually placed in the budget to add 2 additional individuals to be placed into the homicide unit to assist with callbacks and investigations, review, and updates. That is critical to the community. And so I'm hoping that those positions will be approved, and that way you will see a difference in how our homicide unit is working. They're working great. They do an excellent job. But layering on those, continual funding for our DNA, and then those additional personnel, you're going to see a change in customer service and investigations, and hopefully we can get those violent criminals off the street.
Well, and sometimes a phone call makes a big difference. We haven't forgotten you. We're still working on your case, and I will continue to check on you.
That human touch.
That's it.
That's community policing.
That's community policing all over again. So look, let me just get us a little relaxed here, and one serious question before I get to some nitty gritty.
Alrighty.
And I think we have about 5 more minutes. So could you talk a little bit about a piece of advice that you would give to the public about how to interact with police officers?
Yeah. First of all, I will say, listen to what we're saying. Don't close us off to what we're saying. Because as I stated before, we need to be great listeners, but I need for the community to also to be great listeners as well. Listen to the directions that we are giving you. And if you feel that you're not getting that service that you need immediately, you have a right to call for a supervisor. And a supervisor needs to respond. But also, too, if you feel that it's something else that needs to go a little bit further, you have a right to file a complaint as well, and then we will address that. But I'm hoping that even that supervisor can come out and actually solve and just remedy whatever the concern is. But I need for you to listen to what we're saying. If we're giving you instructions, please just listen to us. If you don't understand it, say, I don't understand it. Can you repeat it again for me? So then nothing continues to escalate. I want my officers to be professional, but also, too, we got to make sure the community understands to give that same energy back, and so that we can actually have a successful outcome in these interactions.
Yeah, everything is so volatile sometimes, especially if there's an incident.
Yes.
And so we all need to just take a breath, relax,
and just listen.
understand we're humans.
Yes.
Let's listen to one another.
Yes, please.
And if I don't understand you, just ask you
again.
to repeat it. And so you're telling your officers on the flip side to be patient with the constituents as well.
That is exactly.
And if they seem like they don't understand you, be patient and repeat it.
Yes.
Okay.
That's all in conflict resolution. That's why we have the guns that come into play because, again, people are not listening.
That's right. Well, we've learned quite a bit, and I am very pleased to learn that you know policing. And I've learned a new way of looking at community policing. So I hope our audience caught on to there's various ways to do that community policing. And LMPD will be implementing more and more of that.
Absolutely.
So we have a little bit of time, so I want to get up close and personal.
Okay.
So I'm going to do a little rapid fire.
All right.
Okay? So you choose one. Winter, spring, summer, or fall?
Ooh, summer.
Summer. Online shopping or mall shopping?
Oh, online now. I'm older.
All day long. Online.
I'm older now.
Staycation or an exotic away vacation?
Staycation.
Staycations
Yeah,
are good,
it's
aren't
good,
they?
yeah.
Sometimes they really are. You don't
jolt of
get to
energy.
enjoy your hometown.
Yeah.
Okay. Reading a book or thumbing through a magazine?
Reading a book.
All right. Sweet tooth or salty?
Oh, sweet tooth.
All day long.
All day long.
Yes. Well, there you have it.
Yeah.
We have been very delighted to have this conversation with our chief of police, and she has educated us on what she has planned for LMPD and some of the things that we can look forward to in community policing. And we now know that we are in safe hands. We just need to trust one another. So community, the word of today is listen. And let's just work together. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I have enjoyed this. We might have to have a round 2 one day as things progress, and we just give a report back to the community.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming. This is it for the podcast for District 7. I appreciate your listening.
Thank you so much for such an enlightening and educational discussion on LMPD. This could have gone on for another hour, I'm sure. So I do hope you'll come back at some point and we'll continue that discussion and continue that conversation. But just want to echo the councilwoman's words. We are so fortunate to have you as chief. And Louisville is very fortunate, and your officers are fortunate. So thank you for taking the time today and being with us. We'll be back on Tuesday, July 25th for another special discussion. Until next time.